and welcome back to another episode of what I believe we were calling it is Monsters Muses or Monster Muse, where we take a random monster from our monster manual with a sticker on it, um, and we write a random poem for it. So let's go ahead. My name is Kent Nudland. I normally run Dungeon Dragons, an adapted game with my daughter Tesla. Uh, We're going to be a little infrequent coming up, just so if anyone's watching, they know. Tesla is, of course, a little bit on the fragile side, and we're coming into winter, which is a rough time for everyone, especially kids with mitochondrial disease. Colds of all sorts are going to kick Tesla's butt. If a cold is normally a CR1 monster, for Tesla, it becomes a CR10 solo monster with epic layer actions and legendary actions and all the things, and it gets pretty brutal. She's currently resting up, healing again at the hospital. She got a couple different cold viruses all at once, a little bit of pneumonia in her lungs, but it's all clearing up. She's doing better. We're possibly going back to floors, the normal regular floor here very soon. Hopefully home next week or sometime this week so we can get session 6 of our game in finally. We've been a little delayed on that, but right now, back to Monster Muses. We take our random monster, we roll a couple random dice to decide on a type of poem and style of poem or mood of poem, I guess. So here's our poem types. Last time we had a very interesting poem. We'll put our vibe check here for the mood of the poem. And of course, we're going to make a monster for that poem. Probably adapting our current monster that we draw from, and we will try to post that online somewhere. So we've got Incubus, I believe, or Intellect Devourer. I think I'm going to go with Intellect Devourer. That sounds like a good. They need a poem written about them, no doubt, 100%. Intellect Devourer. Intellect Devourer serves the minds of their creators by consuming other creators' brains and puppetizing the minds' bodies. These quadrupedal brains seek to ambush sapient beings, then drain their thoughts until they're mindless. Then, if their victims are humanoids, they enter the creature's skulls with access to the victim's knowledge and control of their bodies. Intellect devourers use their perfect disguises to pass as the people they've replaced and further the mind flayer plots. The big thing is a steel body with intelligence saving throw DC 12. Um, I'm honestly glad my stupid characters with their intelligent dump stat have never ran across an intellect devourer. They would be destroyed. Most of my characters dump intelligence. I don't know why. And there's obviously other decent stats to dump, but for me, it tends to be intelligence if I can't think of anything else. But what type of poem are we writing about this intellect devourer? Got some green dice today. Well, I think we almost had the dice on. Let's see. 36 for style of poem, and 22 for vibe of poem. Let's see what that comes out to be. 36 is we're writing cinquain, not a long poem, just 5 lines to write on. That's fine with me. 2, 4, 6, 8, 2 syllables or word count variant. We'll go with syllables, I think. That's always fun. So 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8, 2. Interesting. That's not going to be a problem. 22 is a nostalgic, bittersweet memory about an intellect devourer. Wow. All right. I think we go ahead and we write this poem. I have a thought in my head about what this poem is going to be. Um, but I'm not going to let anyone know until it's time for me to reveal the poem. It's going to be a good one. I can't wait to do it. I've got a great idea. I will be back in just a moment with that poem. Until then, I guess, well, for you, it won't be any time at all. But for me, it's just going to be a few hours till I get a chance to write it. I'll record it and then we'll put it out for next Tuesday. Like I said, everything's going to be a little infrequent, but hopefully we're get back on schedule here. All right, I'll be right back with that poem. Okay, and we are back with a poem. If we want to remember just exactly what we're doing, because I have to refresh myself on exactly what we're doing. We're doing a pentameter poem about our little mind flayer friend, our intellect devourer. It's got to be nostalgic or a bittersweet, reminiscent poem. And I think we got there. I think it was a great little piece to write. I was really happy to do it. Not nearly as long as the last poem, but still equally fun. And that's why different poetry styles can be fun to do. Each one has its own little challenge, its own little flair. This one, not a lot of words, honestly. So that gave us a little bit more of a challenge on what we could do and not do. But I really enjoyed writing this one. It gave me some ideas, which I'm happy to share, and we'll definitely try to get that out there for everyone so they can possibly use this in their game as well. Let's go ahead. We're going to read the poem, and then we'll get into what Homebrew was made. It's not a monster because in the end, I couldn't actually deal with fighting this guy. He turned out to be too fun. So let's go ahead. We're going to get into it. Um, like I said, it's a short poem. I'll try to put some vibe onto it here. Inside the empty skull, the mind long since consumes. I live this lie, remembering hunger. And that's our little guy. This is my thoughts on him. There was a little guy, intellect devourer, cute little brain guy. He was forced to consume the brain, and maybe a little adventure, maybe just a citizen. And he was given orders by his mind flayer boss, his mind flayer daddy, to lay low, wait for the scheme to unfurl, wait for our command to unleash hell on this village. And so, like a good little intellect devourer, curled up inside his brain dome, he did that exact thing. He went about the life of this person he ate. And he continued with the motions, continued living this life that he was given. And then those orders never came. He was never told to unleash hell. He was never told to reveal or attack or continue with the plan. That plan never happened. Maybe the Mind Flayer and the Elder Brain were killed by other adventurers, or a dragon, or some other massive creature or heroes that came along. But it was done, and he wasn't, or they were not able to complete their task, and they continue living this life. Maybe for a year, maybe for a few years. I picture because they take the place of the brain, the body itself, the body that they took, continues living. Maybe they get married. They to further their cover. Maybe they have kids. Maybe they Who knows? Maybe they start a job as an adventurer, taking on jobs using their abilities. Maybe they grow attachments to this village. Maybe they start protecting it. Either way, I couldn't make a monster out of this little guy. I sort of fell in love with the idea that this was a playable race. This was a being that you could play as a character. And I love that thought of it so much that I had to change my own rules for Monster Muse on my second episode. This isn't a monster. We made a playable race that everyone will be able to use and play at their table. A little strange, but here it is. The Hollowmind um, playable race is an aberration slash humanoid. It's a tiny symbiote within a human shell. Size is medium or small. You can choose that character creation. Speed is 30 feet. You gain the following abilities when you choose this race at level 1. You get Strange Brain. Your alien neural structure grants you resistance to psychic damage. You get the ability called Thought Eater. You can unleash a psychic lash that disrupts a creature's mind. Choose one creature within 30 feet. It must make an intelligence saving throw. DC is 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your choice of Int, Wisdom, or Charisma modifier. On a failure, the target takes 1d10 psychic damage and is dazed until the end of its next turn. Can't take reactions, and speed is halved. You can use this ability a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you gain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. At 5th level, the damage increases to 2d10, and at 15th level, the damage increases to 3d10. So it kind of becomes a little cantrip that you can do in a pinch, and it gives you a little bit of control. So not bad. You get Distant Remembrance. You regain chained fragments of the life you replace. Gain proficiency in one skill or in one skill or tool of your choice. Silent Whisper. You can communicate I gotta say that again. You can communicate telepathically with any creature within 30 feet that understands at least one language. The creature cannot respond telepathically unless it has telepathy. So you can talk to someone, they can't talk to you. It's a one-way communication channel, but still always useful to be able to have some sort of secret communication. And you know a common one language of your choice. This was being made to be used for 2024 Dungeons & Dragons. If you want to use it for 2014, not a problem. Everything kind of stays the same. The only difference is you, of course, would get +2 in one ability score, +1 in another ability score, or a +1 in 3 ability scores. As it was kind of standard at the end of 2014. I love this race concept. I'm always a fan of weird little guys for races, and this one definitely goes down what I enjoy to do. I see this being, an abjuration sorcerer. I see it being all the wild warlock, old one warlock, I should say. Can be any type of wizard. I mean, barbarian would be great. Totem barbarian, or I guess I don't remember what they're called in 2024, but whatever that is, heart totem barbarian or something. You know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about. Um, but yeah, giving them that psychic resistance is going to bolster what they already got. So that mechanically works great. As far as story, this is what I would do. Harem Schmidt was a cobbler in his small village. One time, people tell a story. How Harem went away for a while to sell his shoes in the market and he disappeared. Harem never arrived at the city to sell his wares. He never came back to the village. No one could find him on the trails. He was just gone. And for 3 weeks, his family looked for him to no avail. So suddenly he showed up again. A little strange, a little weird. He couldn't really explain where he was for the last month or so. But he was back, and he was mostly harem. He was mostly the person they remembered with a few quirks. He ate food he didn't like to eat. He had a different reaction to alcohol than they remembered. His laugh had changed a little bit. Something had definitely happened to Harold, but they couldn't explain what it was. He definitely was showing abilities that he hadn't shown before. When the goblins attacked the town, Harold used a strange ability to murder those goblins. Uh, Harold was different. He was, or I should say, Harem was different. But they didn't understand why. Neither did Harem, or at least that's what he said. But in truth, Harem was taken by a mind flayer, his brain replaced with an intellect devourer. He had become a hollow mind. And Harem continued working. He continued his job as a shoeman, making as a cobbler, making shoes and boots for his citizens and neighbors around him. Harem got married to his sweetheart. He had a couple of kids, but there's always something off about Harem, something that didn't seem right anymore. He didn't react quite the same way as other people did. And Harem saw this as well. Harem also knew he had a power inside of him that as he stayed Harem, he became less and less like he was, and more something else. As a hollow mind, he's lived a human life, at least for a while. And he's beginning to have human interactions, human connections, and that's changing him. He's no longer just an intellect devourer, he's something else. So when he started hearing whisperings of something old returning, Harem didn't get excited about the prospect of his masters returning. Harem got concerned for his friends and for his new family. So Harem did what anyone would do. He struck out on an adventure to find the truth about these whisperings and to discover the truth behind what was happening and to protect his friends and his family from this new growing threat. I really like this idea. It's a great background. It gives you an interesting hook as to playing this new character. It gives you an interesting reason for why you're adventuring. It gives the dungeon master a lot of story to play around with. For instance, what happens when inevitably the little thing inside Harem's brain is discovered, and the villagers find out that they've been entertaining a monster this entire time, and this monster was now Harem and has been Harem for several years. How does Harem react to? How does Harem keep that secret? Do the other adventurers find out, and how do they react to that secret? There's a lot to play around with here, and it would be really fun to do in a game. I would love to be the dungeon master for this type of creature. It would be amazing. That being said, I mean, you don't need to just think about how it'd be like to play with Harem in your game. You can have Harem in your game. You can include Harem as a homebrew, and we're still trying to figure that out, how to get it out to you guys. But when I do, you can play Harem, or your friends can play Harem, or something like Harem. And that would be fantastic. If you do, just let me post a reply in the comments about how Harem plays out in your game. As always, this is Monster Muse, and we will be writing a random poem about a random monster with a random vibe every week or whenever medically allowed to do so, as long as everyone's healthy. Thank you again for watching. I am Kent Nedland. I guess I am the Monster Muse in this case, and I will see you next time.